Well, hello everyone, and welcome to your weekend overrage live stream. I am, of course, Chris from Viral Gorilla, and let me just get a few of these old links out on the Twitter and the Facebook, and we'll get this stuff underway. But in today's episode, we're covering is Tom Hiddleston's time as Loki up? We all thought he died in, what was it? Endgame? At the beginning of Endgame, we thought that was the end. We're going to see Loki, and then what was it? Infinity Wars. Jesus. It wasn't that long ago, Chris, get it together. Infinity Wars, and then he came back in Endgame, much to the squeals of the fangirls in attendance in the movie, so that was good to see. What else have we got on today? We've got the making of a new Transformers thing. They're scrapping the Bayverse, scrapping Bayformers, and of course they are moving forward with a new sort of 80s style one, which we'll talk about later. Of course, we've got Carl Weathers' tweet telling everyone thank you for being such cool fans of The Mandalorian, and so that should be good. It's good to see when people sort of acknowledge the fandom and sort of give back to the appreciation shown, just getting my social media out there. I run it all myself. I don't have a mediator like some of the other bigger channels. It's just me. So and a big shout out to the Fandom Collective, of course. If you're on the Twitter and you haven't followed them, the Fandom Collective, at Fandom Collective with no E on the end, check them out. Follow them because they bring a whole bunch of YouTubers, new YouTubers, together and get them out there, flipped out. There's a whole bunch. So get on them and give them a like because they help us out a hell of a lot. So we like to help them out by getting it. But anyway, let's get the show underway, and of course we're going to start off with Tom Hiddleston's time as Loki in the MCU may be coming to an end soon. Well, what the hell is all this about? They just put out they just basically put out a thing saying that there's a new show. So what's going on there? Loki may be in for some major transformation in the coming years of the MCU. In 2021, Tom Hiddleston would have been playing the God of Mischief for 10 years, with the anniversary being marked by the release of his first solo vehicle in the franchises, of course, Disney Plus's Loki's TV series. And according to our intel, this might be the final time he plays a major role as the character, as Thor, Love and Thunder might write Hiddleston out and introduce a new version of Loki. Now, I want to know, will you accept a new version of Loki? Because it's going to be hard for me. If you remember, we had that when Tom Hiddleston came out dressed as Loki. I think it was at the San Diego Comic Con. And people went fucking nuts. People lost their shit. So, this is from We Got This Covered. So, of course, take all these rumours with a pinch of salt. But We Got This Covered has heard from our sources The same ones who said Daniel Radcliffe has been eyed for Moon Knight and the Inhumans will appear in Miss Marvel, both of which since been confirmed. That the British star time in the MCU would be coming to an end soon, as we reported last week. The Loki will introduce Kid Loki as one of the Asgardian shapeshifter forms, with him appearing again in Love and Thunder. And that's really is a hark back to the old sort of like Mills and Boons titles, Love and Thunder. I just imagine, what was that Little Britain show when that lady's on the couch getting her typist to write out her love novels? That's kind of what it reminds me of. I digress. Taika Waititi, who played IG-11 in the Mandalorian movie, however, will see the trickster somehow become stuck as his teen self. Kid Loki will then go to show up in other projects Hiddleston will star in Love and Thunder, but only until the beloved villain transformation into his kid self, which of course could be any time in the movie, could be the first 20 minutes, could be in the last 20 minutes, and now we're hearing that after all this, the actor will be gone from the MCU for the foreseeable future. Of course, this doesn't mean that Hiddleston is necessarily gone from the Marvel Universe for good, as Loki could always change back into his adult form if the actor wanted to see him do more. That said, the general feeling amongst studio execs and Hiddleston himself is that he's ready to move on with his career. What we've been told, you can't say this comes as a surprise either, given that the actor has already voiced his opinion that Avengers Infinity War completed his character's arc perfectly. In any case, Tom Hiddleston recently revealed that production has already begun on the Loki TV show, so we can at least look forward to seeing a bit more in the coming months and learn what else the future may hold for the actor's MCU career. So, let me know, will you be able to accept any other actor as Loki? Will they be able to do it properly? I always think of... we got this show in Australia called Home and Away, and they change characters. Or like Pippa, I think it was, when I was young, and that was weird as all. It's just like, hey, we've got a new mom, but she's the same. And then when Vince McMahon tried to do it with Diesel and Razor, he just tried to change the people over from Kevin Nash to, I forget who was it. I think it might have been Kane as one of them. He has the new Kevin as the new Diesel and the new Razor, and that went down like a load of bricks. But if they do this well, who knows, it could work out for the best. And with Tom Hiddleston reportedly saying he's ready to move on, you've got to respect a person's wishes. 10 years is a long time to dedicate your life to something that's just a job for you, He's not an Uber fan. He doesn't, maybe he does. We don't know. But I don't think he dresses up at home and parades around his house as Loki. So, well, if Tom Hiddleston's time is at an end, we've still got the Disney Plus show to look forward to, and hopefully that'll have some new things coming out, and then the actor's time will be done. And sort of sad to see Tom Hiddleston go, because that's the only Loki. When I think of Loki, I think of him. I'm not a comic book fan. I'm a movie fan. So that's why I like all these. I don't have any gripes saying, oh, they did this in the comics, they did that in the comics. I'm a movie guy. I liked Venom. I'm not afraid to say I liked Venom. I'm looking forward to Venom 2, Venom 3. And of course we have Spider-Man possibly showing up in Venom 2 to take on Carnage. So that will be awesome. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, they didn't do that right. That wasn't like the comic books. I'm not that guy. A lot of my friends are, and I always pull them up on it. The studios don't have to strictly follow the source material. And I think we've seen that with Star Wars, the last trilogy, when Disney, Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy did away with George Lucas's sequel script. So we'll see what happens when the Loki TV series comes out on Disney Plus. And of course, now is the time to get your free Disney Plus week subscription to The Mandalorian. Get that free week, watch The Mandalorian, and then cancel it. Cancel your subscription, and then move on with your life and get a new email when the Loki the TV series comes out, and watch that for free as well. But speaking of The Mandalorian, Carl Weathers had this to say: "Thank you, amazing fans, for the wonderful words tweeted regarding The Mandalorian. Your enjoyment and appreciation for the work done by the creators, directors, cast, crew fills us with pride. Until fall of 2020, do the magic hand thing, baby." I like that. He's like, shout out to his what he said in the thing. And I've got to bring this up. See if I can get this opening up. I don't think it's going to open up. Here we go. So I'm not going to have any volume on this. I'll put my silly head over here. Why The Mandalorian works better than the movies. IGN, of course, was smoking their own homemade crack. And look, we know that The Mandalorian is not for everybody, which would, really negotiate the high 90, the 90% plus scores from both the critics and the audience. I think that pretty much shows The Mandalorian is for everyone, except the 10% of the community probably don't watch The Mandalorian or Star Wars. We know The Mandalorian is not for everyone. It can feel a little cheesy in certain places, and the puppets and costumes can look a little silly at times, but consider the alternative. Are the new trilogy of movies too slick, too modern to be true to the source material? Is The Mandalorian's lone wolf and cub plotline more in line with the spirit of the original trilogy? Your pals Brian and Jeremy discuss. And of course, I had to laugh at this because they're basically discussing, is The Mandalorian cheesy compared to the new movies? Well, the new movies, the Mandalorian had cohesive story writing, and good lord, did the sequel trilogy did not, as we all know, and J.J. Abrams has taken to beef with Rian Johnson about it. It's funny to see them try and pick every little thing apart. I'm going to get rid of that. That's enough of them. It's funny to see them try and pick everything apart when everyone is so happy with it. Everyone's so happy with it. It's amazing to see them just try and find any fault with anything. And I think that's what a lot of moviegoers or armchair critics do today. It doesn't matter if you are on IGN or have a YouTube channel or even a small YouTube channel like mine. It's just your opinion, man, as the dude says. You cannot pick apart everything. What's the point of even going to see something if you got to pick apart? Like, I've got friends that will pick apart universally liked films, but then love films that are absolutely bags of shite. But that's just opinions. It's a difference of opinion. But when you sort of see that The Mandalorian is universally loved by all, and universally loved by the fans, universally loved by the critics. You can then sort of see, where these people are coming from or where they're not coming from. So it's kind of weird to see that coming out after the universal praise for The Mandalorian. And of course, hopefully, Battlefront 2 will include some of the Mandalorian stuff in its game. And we go to the Battlefront 2 roadmap. I'm going to get rid of my silly head. I hope I do this right. There we go. So in March, we get new galactic map for Felucia. We get new heroes, Ahsoka Tano. Thank God, finally. Padme Amidala. So we get Padme finally. Yep. We get Asajj Ventress. Finally, we get Asajj Ventress. I want to play as Asajj Ventress, and I want to play as Ahsoka Tano. And we got Hondo Anaka, so that should be cool. In spring, America's spring, we get the new sequel era Capital Supremacy map, and this will include. Let's break this up a bit. Tweaking the ship phase of Capital Supremacy and moving it to Galactic. Wow, that's pretty cool. Adding MC-80 and Imperial Star Destroyers to Galactic. Yavin 4, Mos Eisley, Hoth, Death Star 2, and Endor to CS. So Capital Supremacy, instant action, and co-op. That's going to be interesting. Capital Supremacy on the Death Star 2. Why would you move from the Death Star to a Star Destroyer? But hey, it'll be fun to play. It always is. And I tell you now, if you haven't got on, I'm over here. If you haven't got on Star Wars Battlefront 2 and you played it at the beginning and thought, hey, this is not for me. I don't want to. This isn't the game I bought. It's turned into a really good game. And I've been playing it from the start, and I absolutely love it. I'll probably live stream a little bit after this live stream. But yeah, this new roadmap shows all the way into 2022. New reinforcements, Rebel Commando, Rebel Botham Spy, Imperial Special Forces, Imperial Commando. Let's move my goddamn head. No, that's my Fortnite character. Let's move my head. New and more original trilogy content. New updates. Adding Vardos. Jabba's Palace, yes. Kessel to CS. Instant action and co-op. So that's going to be cool. Getting Jabba's Palace. I love playing that in the original Battlefront from EA. There was no greater feeling than going and smashing Jabba's bong with your blaster. So, and it was called Jabba's bong. Don't kid yourself. Jabba's bong and pipe was what was written on the original packaging back in 1983. New weapons, 3 new weapons for each class, unlocking era-specific weapons and changing statistics of each one. So that's going to be something to look forward to. Winter, so America's winter, Australia's summer. We're going to get Jyn Erso, republics are built on hope. Nine Numb, fuck yeah. I'm excited for Nine Numb because I am a big Mike Quinn fan. So yeah, hopefully we can talk to him about that when it comes out. Oh, Director Krennic, we're going to get Director Krennic, that's awesome. And Greedo. So we'll be getting Greedo, adding more contact, adding Scarif, Sullust, and Cloud City to Capital Supremacy. That is awesome. Instant action co-op and Galactic, the Galactic whatever that is. I forget what it's adding Palace Garage, Sorosub Pipelines, and Sorosub Refinery to Extraction, Blast, and HVV porting weapons, whatever the hell porting weapons mean. And of course, daily changes, map rotation, bug fixing, and balances are ongoing. More content and features to be confirmed in the future road updates. Detailed information on all the above will be made available in the patch notes. So while you can, get Battlefront 2, because they are obviously planning on keeping this game going. This game has gotten really good. When I play it, it's usually for 90 minutes to 3 hours at a time. I play this game, and especially if you get a big group of Star Wars fans with you, you can play this game. I remember in Battlefront 1, my brother and a few mates, we used to have basically what we would call those R2-D2 parties. You can control R2-D2 and bring them in and basically just max out your points until they changed it. Those were amazing days. But of course, also they're obviously releasing stuff to do with the return of Skywalker. So not only are we getting BB-8 as a hero, we're getting the black BB figure. What is he? BB... Oh, I forget. We're getting him. And so that's going to be interesting how they play out. I think they're going to be more of like a healing capacity and stuff like that sort of hero. So that's going to be good. Unless you just get the flame BB-8 like people just go up to their ankles and stick your jet lighter right through their ankles. That'll be great. So it's good to see that happening. And of course, if you're one of those people that got Battlefront 2 when it first came out and went, this is shit, which I can understand. I can understand why you would say that. It is a much changed game. And hats off to EA. They really have listened to the community and changed this game up. They've sort of put everything in there we've wanted. We've been asking for Ahsoka and Asajj for ages now, and we're getting them. So I will do a live stream of this after and show you what it's all about. But yeah, that is going to be amazing. So I am looking forward to that. Give the Fandom Collective a retweet. They help me. So for the few people that watch my thing, I will keep this going. And a big thank you to the Fandom Collective who help out a lot of YouTubers, from Angry Man Baby to let's have a look at them and go down the list. Channel of the day is Jedi Master Daniel 96. So we've got Vader Reviews, Star Wars Only. These are all the John Talks. Snow Dub, Drunk 3PO, Revan X, Positively Destiny, John Matrix, Nerdettes Newsstand, Entertainment Hackers. So big shout out to all my fellow Fandom Collective YouTubers, and give them all a subscribe, because we're all starting out. We're all trying to hit that magical, some of us 50, 100, 1,000, and then the 10,000, of course, when you can start really having some fun with some live streams and getting it going. But it's amazing to see communities come together like that, of people who will maybe never meet each other in real life. Me being in Australia, I try and sort of reach out to people who are in Melbourne. So if you're a YouTuber in Melbourne and you're watching this, reach out to me. Send me a DM through the Twitter, and send me a message through the Twitter and reach out to me, and let's collaborate. Let's get something going. I've got another show starting up. Well, it's actually an old show of mine, One Fall Entertainment. So I'll be starting that up in the near future with a good friend of mine. I'm a smack daddy, but we'll be bringing some more wrestling concentrated on the local and the worldwide scene. So I'm looking forward to that. But let's get over to the Transformers. Paramount reportedly rebooting the Transformers franchise. Michael Bay Transformers movie didn't get much love from the critics, but there's no denying they had a huge fan base, with the director's 5 installments earning almost $4.5 billion at the box office. Just a little bit more than what Disney paid for Star Wars, but anyway. However, after Bay's The Last Night massively underperformed commercially, earning $500 million less than predecessor's Age of Extinction, it seemed as though the Transformers franchise had peaked in terms of popularity. I'm willing to say they didn't put the effort in on The Last Night. In Age of Extinction, Optimus Prime did the Poochie thing. Basically, my planet needs me. I have to go now. Bleep, 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 bleep. And that was that. And so people didn't really know what to expect from The Last Night. The trailers weren't good. The butler wasn't as cool. And now that's what pissed people off the most. If I remember correctly, it was that Rodimus had a French accent because he was a French-made car. What was he? Anyway, he had a French accent, and people were put off by that because, of course, Transformers fans vary from about the age of, well, let's say 60 to 3. And anyone above the age of sort of 30 was, always looking for that G1 vibe. And when they changed Rodimus's accent to French, I think that was the final nail in the coffin in the eyes of most of the fans. But of course, with those movies being... the first one was in 2007, if I'm correct. Those movies almost been 15 years old. Is it too soon for a reboot? I mean, Travis Knight's Bumblebee went down the prequel route, becoming the first entry in the series to receive widespread critical acclaim in the process. And due to the film's strong performance at international box office, a sequel was reportedly said to be in the early stages of development, which baffles me because at the end of that Bumblebee, he turned into the Camaro and drove off into the sunset, only to then change back into a VW and get picked up by Sam Witwicky. We haven't even gotten to the part of Sam Witwicky yet. Anyway, development. However, according to close sources to We Got This, they've always got some close source. Name your sources. You got the hot sauce, you got the chili sauce. Name your sources. The same ones who told us an Aladdin sequel was in the works. Bill Murray would return for Ghostbusters 3. The real Ghostbusters 3, not that shit show in 2016. And that Robert Pattinson had clinched the role of Batman, all of which turned out to be true. Paramount are set to reset the button and reboot the Transformers franchise entirely. From what we understand, Michael Bay movies will be wiped from continuity completely, with the rebooted films launching an entirely new narrative on the big screen. To be more specific, Our sources tell us they'll focus on the Transformers in the 80s after Bumblebee and reboot it from and we don't have any more details just yet, given that the plots of the first 5 installments are virtually incomprehensible anyway. It's doubtful that many people will be mourning the loss of their favourite characters like miscellaneous evil businessman 17, stoic military guy, and loud human sidekick. Well, what about like Blackout? I gotta admit, I like the Bayforce Transformers. I can see that that's a Hollywood adaptation of Transformers. Much like Godzilla is a Hollywood adaptation of Godzilla. Then it's not going to be the same. You've always got to try and ground it in some sort of reality for it to work. That's why Christopher Nolan's Batman series works so well. He made the Scarecrow, the Joker, and Bane almost terrorists. And that's why that was so universally liked and loved. Now, the first Transformers was really grounded in reality, where you had them come to Earth and the military and the governments were all up in arms. And then it was a, divergent timeline where they sort of went down their own timeline. And I can understand all that. I think there's always going to be a certain section, until they die out, there's always going to be a certain section of the Transformer fandom who want that G1 look. But when you're selling tickets to families and you've got an 80s vibe going, and your main movie ticket selling your main ticket selling market is China, you've got to really stop and think about what will translate to a worldwide audience instead of just what the fans want. And I think that's what has to be thought of and understood by some fans within Transformers, and even to Star Wars in some extent, although good storytelling does come into it. And I don't think the storytelling was terribly bad, with the Michael Bay Transformers, or Bayformers in the Michael Bay verse, the Transformers, the Bayformers. I don't think the storytelling was necessarily bad. What you've got to remember is, like the cartoon series of the 80s, they were made to sell toys. And these aren't much dissimilar. They were made to sell movie tickets to a worldwide audience and sell toys. Now, when you take that all into comparison and stuff like that, we're basically paying our money to see one big commercial. I have an old Devastator and I have the new Devastator. And I absolutely love my masterpiece Transformers, and I love the sort of masterpiece style movieverse Transformers or Bayformers, and I'll be definitely getting the upsized Blackout, because I don't know if you can tell, but I am a big fan of Blackout. Lockdown was amazing. He was basically the bounty hunter when he rips out the spark or the heart of Ratchet and tells him nothing is now. Like, that was awesome. I remember actually going to the first screening of Transformers in 2007. I went with a friend. I went with a friend, and he was a hard-working man. His wife had him under the thumb, and he was a hard-working man, to say the least. He was a provider for his family. And, of course, we rock into a fully packed cinema, and to his astoundment, he blurted out, don't all these people have work? Which was funny to me because, as a freelancer, I can pick and choose jobs I want. I'm sorry I'm booked. I'm going to see a Transformers movie, and I enjoyed it from start to finish. Yeah, the Sam Witwicky character was a bit meh, the boof, and of course he went off the rails. But of course, Sam Witwicky was in the Transformers cartoon, so you've really got to look at that as a win for all the G1 fans that they sort of went down that sidekick. And, the same thing can be said for the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles. While not to everyone's liking, you are not the audience that they are selling to now. They are selling to kids who watch Nickelodeon. They are selling to families who have kids who watch Nickelodeon. They are selling to families who will buy 4 tickets, 5 tickets compared to your 1 ticket, 1 disgruntled ticket. I'll take 1 disgruntled ticket over 5 happy family tickets where the 3 kids come out and then go on to buy the movie, the toys and stuff like that. So you got to look at it like that. And once you do, G1 Transformers will always be around. And if you don't already collect the Takara Tomy Masterpiece Collection, please have a look at that and get involved in the Takara Tomy Masterpiece Collections. My God, they are a thing of beauty. To be honest, there's a lot of great... the engineering involved in these things is amazing. The way they look at cartoon realistic, then to transform it into a robot and make cartoon realistic. But my favourite has to be the engineering that has gone into the G1 Laserbeak. Goes from cassette that can fit inside Soundwave, of course, to going to the big bird that can sit on his arm. The engineering that goes into these things is amazing. So if you haven't already, get into the Takara Tomy Masterpiece Collection, all you G1 fans. And for all the Movieverse characters, get onto some of the Transformer toy websites. I think there's and the message board, I think it's like TFW 2005 because it's always 2005 for Transformer fans. They'll show you what's coming up, what third party are coming out, and hit up your local toy retailer or online shop. But it's always better to go check out your local toy retailer first. Support these local toy retailers, because otherwise we will lose them and you won't be able to go check these things out. There are some people that take the piss, but then there are other great people that out there that really take good care of their customers. My friend Chris at Collector Zone is a great example of this. No online presence except for Facebook, but you go into his shop and he will look after you. So go get these figures if you are a collector, and if you're serious still about G1 Transformers, G2. I think they've released pretty much all of them now, so you can pretty much get the entire cast of Decepticons and Autobots from the G1 characters and have them lined up. And these things are massive. Some of them stand 12 to 18 inches, while others stand 10 inches. They're all scaled. And now that's... Look, I'm going to go on a random thing here and say, my God, Pops. Pops are an absolute scourge of the collector world. They are not accurate. They are just plastic pieces of absolute just terrible. I cannot stand Pops. Although I have a few somewhere. I think I have Pickle Rick. Because he actually looks like Pickle Rick. And I have a Demogorgon because, hell, he actually looks like the Demogorgon with his big head. But apart from that, these big blank stares, I just want to melt them all into one big plastic goddamn frisbee. And I pity collectors in 100 years' time or 50 years' time who are going to be sorting through these shit piles of Pops at collector fairs and stuff. And try and have someone tell you that box has never been opened, and because it's got a sticker on it, it's worth so much more than the one next to it that doesn't have the sticker on it. Funko Pops absolutely shit me, and you can, tell me what you like in the comments section, but goddamn Funko Pops, I hate them. But anyway, of course, I digress. What I really wanted to show was the Rotten Tomatoes scores for the Transformers movies. And of course, we go through Transformers, 58%, with the Booth and Megan Fox. Get my head over the other side. So 58%, 85%. Again, we're going to see a disparage with the critics. Critics might not liked it, but hey, at the time, people dug it, man. People were into it. I'm going to give it 4 stars. I'm going to log in to my old Viral Gorilla account, and I'm going to give it 4 stars. And I'm just going to put when Optimus Prime plugs eBay. Next level. Yeah, that'll do. Real movie critic on this site, hey. Yeah, so again, audience score. While believable characters are hard to come by in Transformers, the effects are staggering and the action is exhilarating. I mean, this is the first Transformers. When you went to see it in the movie theaters, it was amazing. It was great to see Transformers on the big screen and stuff like that. So that was good to see. Then we go to Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, which sort of gave us a little bit of a backstory on how long they've been into Earth. Now, there we go. We sort of start to see a bit of a downfall, 27%, 50% audience, 57% audience rating. But, of course, this movie gave us Jetfire and Ravage, and I quite like the scene with Ravage. That sort of when he went nuts. The Doctor was cool. I did like this movie. Gave us that weird ass human Decepticon, like with the tongue. So that was fun in itself. And we'll go to of course, the Dark of the Moon now. I actually thought this was kind of cool because it went a little bit darker. So it's gone 35, 55. And this had the old Shockwave in it. So he was cool. And of course it had Laserbeak in it, still sticking to its military roots. Of course, Megan Fox had a bit to say about Michael Bay, and then Michael had a bit to say about Megan, and as it goes, it's Michael Bay's set, so he fired her. I don't necessarily agree with that. You can still sort of, work together. I think she called him a Nazi, so maybe he wasn't really cool on that, as can be imagined. Josh Duhamel, always good in it. The third outing for a herd of toys that should have stayed in their boxes. Anthony Lane, of course, does not understand that they're just selling toys. They're selling Anthony his one ticket. Well, they're selling a family 5 tickets and a whole buttload of toys. And of course, we go to Age of Extinction, 18%, starring Marky Mark. A bit of a disparage, 51%. So, you know, for every 2 people that went, 1 person liked it. Of course, there was a bit of a bit different to what they're used to seeing. Always, they had this track on the CD. It was called "His Name Is Craig and He Drives." His name is Shane and he drives. That was pretty funny in my thoughts. His name is Shane and he drives. Kelsey Grammer, and of course, this one had Lockdown. Hey, this one had Lockdown in it, and Lockdown was awesome. Hey, you know, so no matter what they have to say, and of course we got Galvatron, Lockdown, Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and Galvatron. So that was amazing in itself. This is when they were harvesting the Transformers and making the new Transformers, sort of programmable Transformers. So that was good. And then, of course, we get to The Last Night. And, of course, this is where it starts to go downhill, where they had this sort of thing with... what's it called? Jesus, I forget what it's called. Whatever that thing is called. I don't know, I've gone complete mind blank. Maybe I shouldn't drink and stream at the same time. You know, explosions and stuff like that, you know, Marky Mark doing his thing. Again, not all bad, but not probably the worst. I mean, this had the dragon in it, which I did get a toy of because they were really cheap. So I just thought he was a cool toy. It's just something cool to display. And of course, I looked on eBay and he was going for a lot more than what I could buy him for at retail. So that was a bit of an instant sale for a toy collector like myself. But then we get to the Bumblebee, and this is when it started to sort of turn around. And it was weird to see here. The critics really got behind this. 92%. The audience score was like, oh, this is all right. Bit of a C, I think. And of course, we had Haley Steinfeld and John Cena. You know, so it was good. The best part, of course, was when they did the Cybertronian war scene. That was amazing. I think that's what every Transformer fan had been waiting for since the beginning, all the old Transformer fans. And that's what sort of made it. See, this was sort of like a you know, buddy alien movie, like in the throes of E.T., Mac and Me, The Last Navigator. It sort of had that sort of feeling. Yeah, I threw Mac and Me in there. What of it? It sort of had that feeling of in it, and I think that's where some of the audience came back, and it had some of the old G1 forms and stuff, but that's because it was in the 80s, and I don't believe that they could have started out like this. I believe we had to have the Bayformers, the verse, the Bayverse, the Bayham. This is what we had to have before we could have something like this. And this really had to come after what Michael Bay did, for it to be enjoyed by the critics and be certified fresh. The audience score is not as big as the first Transformers, which is something to see in itself. So the nostalgia for most wasn't the key player in the Transformers franchise. The nostalgia was an added value. The Cybertronian scene was awesome. I can't say that enough. Like when I saw that, I was absolutely like just yelling at the screen, like fuck yeah, one after the other. It was just like F yeah, fuck yeah, one after the other. But as you can see, the audience score, while still being 9,297 audience score, is not as high as the rating for Transformers 85. And you got to remember, these movies did come before the big Captain Marvel debacle, when Rotten Tomatoes stopped becoming a sort of trustworthy site and was bought out by the Disney sort of machine, having a Disney exec as a former executive at Rotten Tomatoes. So that shows sort of like where they're at in relation to each other. I think that would show, you know, we couldn't have had the Bumblebee movie if we didn't have the Bayverse. And I think everyone forgets China is such a big market now. If you don't sell tickets in China, you're not making that $1 billion worldwide. You're not making that $700 million worldwide. Which is what movies like these need to make to be deemed successful. They cost so much to make. You can't just go... I mean, The Mandalorian for 8 episodes was $120 million. And it's just, you know, Disney Plus got so many subscribers on the first day. I think that's really what put the second series of The Mandalorian in motion, which is like, all right, people want to see this. Let's get this second series out as soon as we can, which will be October, November 2020. So yeah, while it's a while to wait, please don't die before then. You will hello Waffles, you will you really need to have that success in China as a movie, and only time will tell if The Rise of Skywalker has that sort of success in China and moves forward as a successful film. It's unpredictable what does well in China. It's unpredictable what the Chinese authorities will ban and deem unwatchable for the public, which is their prerogative. We all have different ways and customs, and I'm sure the Chinese people are far adept at getting movies the same as we are all over the world. So if they want to see the movie, they will find a way to see it regardless. But 74% compared to 85%, and it's been a while. It's been a hot minute, as they say, since Bumblebee came out, and not many people gave it a user rating. So, as compared to what Age of Extinction which still has 223,857 compared to Bumblebee's 9,000. So, while universally loved and it did play for a long time in the movie theatre, I think there was a bit of, I don't want to say fatigue, but a bit of lost faith in the franchise, and Bumblebee sort of copped that a bit. And of course, if you haven't seen the Bee yet, please go watch it. It's well worth just watching it for that Cybertronian scene. If you are a G1 fan, it's well worth watching that just for that. But I think I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to have a little break. I'm going to have a bite to eat. And then maybe in an hour or so, I'm going to jump on and start streaming the Battlefront for the day. My lizard is hungry. He's crawling all over my feet. Waffles is asking to get fed. So, with all this in mind, do you think you can accept a new Loki in the upcoming, as we move on through the phases? Tom Hiddleston says he's done. He wants to go do other things. What do you think about the new Transformers franchise? Shout out to Carl Weathers being cool, and just give him a follow. Just do the magic hand thing, baby. Do the magic hand thing. It kind of sounds weird now when I say it, but I'm definitely going to use that. Anyway, and of course Battlefront 2, I will be back streaming a bit of Battlefront 2 in its entirety. You can hear me swear, you can hear me lose my absolute shit as I get killed by Ray over and over and over again. Not only in Fortnite am I been getting killed by Ray lately, but I am getting killed in Battlefront. So all realities, I am being killed by Ray. Also in this reality, that kiss was goddamn woeful. Oh man, you know my feelings on that. They bent the knee to Raylo. Didn't need to happen. Just hold her and disappear around her would have carried much more weight. Instead of kissing her like she was Sleeping Beauty or something, giving her a rose kiss when she's unconscious. Not cool. Not cool either way when you look at it. And now Star Wars is just one big incestual circle of the Palpatine Skywalker family, round and round and round. Poor Shimmy, I'm glad she wasn't alive to see all this shit go down, because she would have been absolutely horrified of how her family name and lineage has been treated by the Palpatine lineage. Basically, if there's a lesson we can learn from this, it's don't go to Naboo. Don't go to Naboo. You will have to hang out with Gungans. You will possibly bump into Palpatine. Don't go to Coruscant. Just I'm gonna have to see this again and see if it was worth watching. But I'm gonna give it a few weeks. I'm gonna give it all to ingest. I'm not really going in for these reviews and listening to reviews. I've listened to one review and it brought up a few good points, like Finn being force sensitive all of a sudden. Hey Ray, I've got something to tell you, dude. I know. Take a chill. I'm force sensitive as well. I can feel you through the force. There's a tremor in the force, and it's you, Finn. It's you. Give Rose more screen time. She should have been riding the horses with Finn. Space horses again. Space horses. Why can't we be on some sort of mechanical device? It's Star Wars, the last movie in the saga. Why does it need to be animals? Why does it need to be animals? They're past that. You know, they're technologically advanced. They don't ride animals through... Anyway, I digress. It's been an hour. That's enough ranting from me. This has been the Vodka and Heart Pills Overrage live stream. I'm going to get myself a drink and I'm going to carry on through my holiday. And I'll be releasing a few more videos for the week, a few different videos, so stay tuned for them. Let's put a bit of pressure on myself, get back into the editing swing of things instead of doing these live rants where I just talk shit for an hour. And I'll be getting back on that. So make sure to give me a like and a subscribe. And if you disagree with me or agree with me, but more importantly, if you disagree with me, tell me in the comments, and let me know. It's always fun to have a little bit of a conversation with someone who disagrees with you. And if you're from the Fandom Collective and you happen to catch my YouTubes, come, let's collaborate. Let's get a little talk going and bouncing off each other. An hour of my voice crapping on is way too long. So give us a like and a subscribe and take it easy. We'll talk to you later. Catch you later.